Hey friend! I'm guessing you clicked on this video because you're looking for some more design thought leadership and inspiration in your email inbox. Well, good news for you because I've got 4 newsletters written by designers that I'm going to recommend to you today. Before I share the newsletters, a quick pro tip. I know that your inbox can get really busy and full, so one thing that I do to filter out my newsletters is I create a whole filter that looks for anything related to newsletter in the email and then puts it into a specific folder just for newsletters. That way, when I have some time on my hands, maybe I'm having my morning cup of tea, I can go through this filter and look at the new issues that I've received and get some inspiration. This helps to keep my inbox really focused on important things and things relating to my job or day tasks that I have to focus on, and filters out all of the extra noise. The first newsletter I want to recommend is The Lookingglass by Julie Zhu. Julie is VP of Product Design at Facebook or somewhere high up there in the leadership level. And I really recommend this newsletter for any product people. Perhaps you're a product designer or a UX designer, but also you could be a design manager or leader. This is a great newsletter for designers of any level, as Julie shares all of her experiences throughout her career, from being a junior designer right up to the leadership level. She often shares her perspective of being a design manager, sharing her thoughts about managing teams, growing and scaling teams, and also about how to take critique and feedback. She also has a neat section where she takes questions from her community and then she answers these in her newsletters. So it's always interesting to see a Q&A approach. A lot of these questions are from young or early stage designers that are asking for general design career feedback. Julie writes a lot about growth as a designer and also touches on different stages in the product process. And lastly, she also shares some good book and reading recommendations. The next newsletter that I recommend is Desk by Tobias Van Schneider. Tobias is a bit of a design entrepreneur. He used to work at Spotify and now he's pursuing his own things, mostly working on Semplus, his design portfolio site. This newsletter is good for design students or designers in the early part of their career, as Tobias gives a lot of advice on how to start out, how to gain momentum, and also how to chase your dreams. He writes a lot about work-life balance as a designer and how to break through barriers. Tobias gives a lot of portfolio advice, advising you how to start off your career and kickstart your portfolio. I also like that Tobias shows a lot of process and behind the scenes of his company, giving you a bit of an insight into what it's like to be a designer working on your own thing. The next newsletter I recommend is Yellowstroke by Budi Tanrim. Budi is a designer at Shopify, and I really recommend this newsletter for any product or UX designers working in large-scale design teams, as he shares a lot of his perspective, advice, and experience from working at a large company like Shopify. Budi also answers Q&As and invites other designers to come in and give advice, and he shares a lot of his learnings from the past 8 years of his design career. It's also interesting when he shares a case study about a project that he's done at Shopify, where he talks about the design process and gives a glimpse into what it's like to work at that company. The last newsletter I want to recommend is by freelancer Jenny Shen. And this is a fantastic newsletter to subscribe to if you're working on a global scale where you have to design products for multiple markets, or you're a remote designer, as Jenny talks a lot about being remote. Jenny also does a lot of travel and public speaking. She kind of works a bit like a digital nomad. So if you're that kind of person too, then definitely subscribe to this newsletter. Jenny's newsletter is a bit of a journal style newsletter where she shares thoughts, advice, resources, all about being a UX designer and a digital nomad. It's very honest writing where she talks about her experience being a minority in design and also her experience public speaking and how she deals with conferences and traveling around the world, while of course balancing her work at the same time. Jenny also shares updates about her workshops and upcoming speaking events, and she also sometimes shares other interesting design communities that she recommends joining. These 4 newsletters should keep you busy with inspiration, interesting upcoming events, and learnings for your design career. But I'm also super interested to hear from you. What interesting design newsletters are you subscribed to that give you a lot of inspiration and energy for your work? Please let me know in the comments because I'd love to check them out. Okay, talk to you next time. Bye-bye.